About 2 years later, the Revs at Baltigo receive a call from Ginny. She tells them that she's back, and the Celestial Dragons didn't want her. She's sick. She wants to see them, but she can't. It'll be her final goodbye. Kuma's distraught. He wants to see her. She apologizes and says she's about to pass away. She tells Kuma not to look for her. Kuma races out the door and disappears using his devil fruit. Ginny on the phone tells Dragon and ʍ𝐺𝐿 to take care of Kuma. Then she tells Kuma, meanwhile he just left, to remember she will always, always love him. Kuma appears at Sorbet Kingdom and asks where Ginny is. Kuma goes to the church and sees a fallen Ginny. Her face and body turned blue and as hard as stone. Her exposure to sunlight made it impossible. Kuma then remembers everything they went through and picks her up in his arms. He drops to both of his knees and hugs Ginny close to his chest and starts to cry. The old people of the kingdom say she also had a baby with her. She risked her life for the baby. Kuma, kneeling down in front of the cross, looks and says, "Don't worry, Ginny. I'll raise your daughter." He then sits in front of Ginny's grave. What did you guys think about this part of the chapter? And we'll start with Lawrence.
I didn't really want to bring this up, but technically this is the first account. Like, this is what I'm getting real quick. This is what I think I called where, like, as soon as I saw Wife of Celestial Dragon, I was like, oh snap. Bonnie is a Celestial Dragon's daughter. Like, it's not Kuma's actual daughter, it's Celestial Dragons before they even showed this part. But now it goes into, because we always may think it what the Celestial Dragons are doing with the possible slaves or whatever. I thought it was interesting because we've never seen, well, from my end, I always thought the Celestial Dragons, they marry kind of like, you know, their own kind only. They may take people for whatever their own amusement, but who they're going to marry is only other Celestial Dragons.
No, on Sabaody, they said that he was going to take her as his bride, the one girl. And the guy was like, hey, no, we just got married. Like, hey, and then he got shot, yeah. Okay.
Because I always thought, like, they want to keep the, you know, the bloodline pure because you're kind of making someone, in a way, a Celestial Dragon. Or do they not attain that status when they become your wife, you know? Like, how does that work, really?
Probably not.
Yeah. But then it goes into, you know, someone forcing themselves on a woman, what the Celestial Dragons were doing, you know, because obviously that's getting, and it goes into, like, now we have more, I guess, why Akainu said what he said, you know, was Ginny, I guess, through marriage, a full-fledged Celestial Dragon because I'm thinking about, like, Ginny, knowing Ginny, how her strong bad mouth and how she was, she wouldn't just go along with this, you know? So I'm thinking a kind of response made it seem like you were part of this family and now you ran away, you know? So it rose questions for me in that aspect.
All right, Seb?
All right, so this is the focal point that I wanted to bring up with Dragon and why I don't know that I can really vibe with him as a character, and it's unfair. I think it is unfair to him, even as a fictional character in the series. But the reason why I love One Piece so much is because of the lengths Luffy is willing to go to for his friends, right? We see it time and time again, what he'll do to make sure that this kind of stuff doesn't happen. And Dragon is, like, held back by the revolution, where he can't go out and help Ginny, right, in this light. Or at least that's how Oda wants us to view it. But regardless of the revolution, to me, he could have done something. He could have done more. And this was the first time that I ever felt that way about Dragon. You know what I'm saying? Like, you guys have that about Garp and stuff every time. And I'm like, he's tied down by his responsibilities, his actual beliefs, etc. In Dragon's case, it wasn't a belief system that prevented him from doing anything. It was his own inaction. He could have did what he just did with Sabo and go to the Mary Jo and declare war and do whatever it took to get Ginny back. He chose not to. Whether he would have been successful or not. This is why I love One Piece. Luffy didn't care about the success rate. The rest of the world doesn't matter. My friend is on the line. I'm going to go out of my way to go make sure that this doesn't happen to her. And Dragon, bogged down by politics, bogged down by the revolution, couldn't, and I understand it. But in a fictional world of pirates, where the main character and other great pirates and things like that do these things, that I see on panel all the time. It's jarring to me to see Dragon not do it, especially one chapter after he just told Kuma, you won't regret joining the revolution. Don't tell me that. And then my girl gets kidnapped and sexually assaulted, and you did nothing. You did nothing for her. It bothered me so much reading it. And I know we said we're going to talk about the graphics later, but it's showing that way where we don't even see her.
Yeah.
We don't even see her. It made it even that much sadder to me. Like, you start looking at it from, like, Kuma's perspective. Like, that's how he's shaking. He's shaking. It got me really upset. And then, like, the chapter itself, like, the her saying, like, hey, I got back. Like, Kuma realizing she got to the Sorbet Kingdom. And she's probably at that place. Before she could even tell him that she loved him, he was gone. So he didn't even hear that. And I'm like, I didn't think Oda could do it again, bro. I didn't think he could get sadder. Like, I said it before, like, we might be getting the saddest backstory, but I didn't believe it for real. You know what I mean? Like, there's just been so many lows for Kuma. Already. Already. And he still hasn't made the deal. Like, you get what I'm saying? He still hasn't made whatever deal it is that he needs to make in order to become the cyborg and become the Kuma that we saw when we saw him. I know I went on about Dragon. I understand it. It's hard for me to like him as a character right now, based on what happened. I know it's not fair, but it's just where I'm at. As far as the rest of it, I thought it was poetic for them to get back to the church where they used to live and where he used to take the pain and stuff. This is probably the most hurt he's ever been right now, feeling no actual physical pain.
Yeah.
He would trade every single one of those nothing happens for this not to have happened. And you could see that in his face. You could see it in the stoic face he has at the tombstone. And for Bonnie to be this, I don't think anybody had that as their their guess per se. Maybe somebody did. I didn't see it online. It didn't come as a shock because I understood like this was a possibility, I guess, but like I didn't want it. I think a part of me deep down was like, I hope that it just works out and it's still just Kuma's baby.
Yeah.
But like, this is what it is. This is the Celestial Dragon. This is why Dragon's fighting this war. But I wish he did more. This was the first time his inaction ever actually bothered me on panel. But that's it for me.
Yeah. No, I think it was well said. I think on both parts. I mean, this was a very hard part of the story to digest, I think, for everybody. I could imagine for some women, too, that happen to experience sexual violence, even in, homes or, like, whatever. Like, that has to be tough to even just read. So for Oda to go this dark and this deep sounds, it's like he's hitting a new storytelling strength that he just hasn't been able to exploit until right now because he's just been saving it. We've gotten dark times before, but I don't think those dark times hit us as much because they happen so fast. Meanwhile, this just keeps going. And for me, when I read this, a lot of people are blaming Dragon, and a lot of people are blaming Kuma for not doing something. And I think, like Sebastian said, it's kind of unfair to put that onto Dragon, but at the same time, I share roughly the same beliefs. If I feel the way I feel about Garp, I gotta hold Dragon to that same standard. What makes Luffy the best out of the monkeys are going to be his best qualities, and that's his carelessness, his recklessness, but also his impulsiveness to do whatever the hell he wants when he wants. And because we're not big fans of the One Piece being friendship, we like that the friendship aspect is always displayed through Luffy and going after people the way he wants to because he loves them, right? And the fact that Dragon doesn't do that rubbed me the wrong way. It made me think of him in a way where I was just like, how can I put this? I saw Fisher Tiger go to marry Joa and release slaves. Perfectly fine. Came back after he was captured, but he escaped. Doesn't show it's that hard because Fisher Tiger really wasn't that strong. Then we seen the revolutionaries literally go to marry Joa and sneak in and do everything that they did. and still walk away. So for me to believe the most capable man, the most connected in the world, man, the guy that like is a CIA mastermind to a degree where he could just send agents to different parts of the world and they come back unscathed because they're either in it already or like he has a system that allows him to infiltrate governments and dissect them and then go, okay, let's take that information, let's see what we can do. I feel like if anybody was to do that, it would be Dragon.
Right, and I don't want to cut you off, but my biggest issue is people were pushing back about like, oh, they don't know where they are. You know where the celestial dragons live, bro.
Yes.
You know where they are. They're at 𝙑𝙀𝙀. Mm-hmm. That's where they are. If you need a means to get there, concoct a plan, figure it out. But I don't want to harp too much on that, but that part of it has always, we didn't know where she was. You know, bro.
Yeah.
You know. They stay where they're at 90% of the time.
Yeah.
And then you have Kuma who can teleport anywhere if you find the information. So
exactly.
They should have went, bro. He should have went.
So I think that people just saying like, what could Dragon have done? I just feel like there's so much, bro. He could have done a lot, and he just didn't. And a lot of people are like, well, if he does that, then like something bad can happen, and his whole plan goes to foil. That's why, like, it's a revolution. Like, they're gonna have somebody that comes up after him and takes over and takes charge. But the thing is, if you're considering Dragon top 5, top 10 strength-wise, then why does that matter? Shouldn't he just be able to walk in and walk back out with her and just take Kuma and say, yo, let's go back to 𝙑𝙀𝙀?
Yo,
like,
even if you can't, like, you could be that martyr for the next person. Have Kuma become the, like, you don't need to be the guy. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, why does he feel that he needs to survive? And like, bro, go. I don't know. It bothered me enough. Like, we got Moria spinning the block for Absalom, bro. Yep. Dolo on a Yonko's crew. Mm-hmm. But Dragon can't go after Ginny, bro.
Exactly.
I don't know, man. It rubbed me the wrong way, for real.
I really don't like that guy.
So I think that it's justifiable. It's justifiable to be like, yo, Dragon, like, why? Like, people, you shouldn't be like, yo, because I like Dragon so much and I see him in this particular light, that I have to pass the blame on to Kuma. And that's what I see fans doing. That's what I see people doing. They're literally like, well, why didn't Kuma do it? Why do we got to say, why didn't Kuma do it if he's not the head of the organization? Just because that's his longtime best friend? Why can I not say that? Why couldn't Kuma do it? And why couldn't Dragon do it? Like, is it that hard? Is it that much of a mental toll on you to be like, well, Dragon could have done something? Like, why is he that favorited? When you have no reason to be, like, in that type of mindset for him. He's never given you anything. Clearly, Dragon hasn't even said much of a sentence. And most of the time, he's been on panels. But they have such strong love for all these vague characters, bro. And I'll never get it. I'll never get how they could be like, yo, I love that guy just because I think he's going to do something. Well, your boy had a couple times to do something. He hasn't done anything. So what are we doing? I feel bad for Kuma, man.
Yeah.
I feel bad for Kuma. I feel bad that he keeps getting the short end of the stick. It really hit me hard when, like, he couldn't even hear the words "I love you" from Ginny. He raced to the church. He knew she was going to be there. To find her like that and still pick her up, grab her, put him to, like, regardless if he was going to die from the disease, he still picked her up, put him to his chest, like, and he just started bawling. And then, you know, he stands in front of the cross. You know, it's like this very. It's like a message that Oda's like, yo, have faith. You know what I'm saying? Like when all things fail in your life, have faith in God. Like, have faith in the ability that you'll get through the tough times, that he's with you and stuff like that, right? And it's like Kuma's once again portraying have faith. Like, even when all things fail and all things seem miserable, have faith in him, but also have faith in yourself. And it's really poetic to see that he's in the church again, where they first were.
I had another thing to say that with the church. She wanted to get married.
Yeah.
They end up together at basically the altar of a church with the sunlight shining in. And another thing I saw in the community floating around is the symbolism of the fact that, like, they pray. He wants to emulate the sun god Nika, and it's the sun god, and like the sun is what took Ginny
away.
and it's like it's bringing him to his darkest time. And I'm like, Oda in his bag. Like as mad as I was reading this chapter, he really in his bag writing.
Yeah, he was
like,
great. This is great writing. Before you say something, Lawrence, I do want to say the cross too. Nerdtaku pointed it out that the cross looks like the sun.
And the symbols that they use in the Kozuki and several other, like I think Wano has the same symbol with the rotating circles around it. So
and then it looks like Kuma's paw print, like 1/3 of it.
I was gonna add to something like that a little later, but yeah. But what I was gonna say is, one, I believe is not the blame shouldn't fall all on Dragon. It shouldn't fall all on Kuma. Honestly, because y'all also forgetting 𝐸𝐿. That's her brother. All three of them should have went. Dragon as their leader, Kuma as your lover, best friend, and 𝐸𝐿 as your sister, as the brother. All three you should have went. And that's where it goes into, like you said, you brought up the parallels between Dragon and 𝙏𝙗𝙪, where like they're thinking heavily about their responsibility and the situation they're in. What should they do, right? And the same thing, they both chose their responsibility over their comrade or like, family or something like that, right? And that's where, and I kind of play into like, have you noticed, right? I mean, of course you noticed it, that Luffy anyway, Oda shows heavy that Luffy's an idiot, right? And there goes into reason because like Luffy as the idiot, he's not going to think about his responsibility. Luffy's not going to think on, I have to achieve my dream of becoming the Pirate King, and then my goal after that, because it's going to change the world, it's going to affect the world. All my things, no. Because if you notice, every time Luffy wants to save his comrade, like let's go Sanji for this situation. When he wanted to save Sanji or get Sanji back, right? And when he got captured, remember when his hands were like pinned up in the book? Luffy was willing to rip off his arms to get out of there to go meet Sanji, right? Showing that what Luffy's willing to sacrifice, even when Ace is captured, right? He says, I'm going to save you, Ace, even if it ends me. Again, Luffy's willing to give up anything to save or free his Nakama. And that's why, showing against what he represents as the warrior of liberation. Because he would sacrifice his arms, his legs, himself, everything to save his Nakama, right? Showing the difference. And I think Oda plays into like heavy that Luffy's the idiot aspect, as in he's not going to think deeply about it. It's more like, this is what I want to do. This is what I feel is right. This is what I should do. Because my comrade, my Nakama needs me. I don't need to think heavy about all the other situations. This is what's important to me right now, right? So it's like, I think Oda plays into like where you have more like the 𝙏𝙗𝙪 and Dragon, the deep thinkers. They're thinking heavily, they're all weighing the pros and cons and everything. Where Luffy, it's simple. No, my Nakama needs me, and this is what I got to do to save them, regardless of how it affects me. That's what I'm going to do. So I think that Oda plays into that writing a lot.
The thing is, too, it's like, it's going to be interesting with Dragon because he most likely became a revolutionary because of the inaction that 𝙏𝙗𝙪 took. But it's going to be super interesting when we find out that he's just 𝙏𝙗𝙪, but on the revolutionaries. He became exactly what he hated most. So, again, I don't think Dragon is a fraud. I don't think 𝙏𝙗𝙪 is a fraud. I just think that they're both cowards. You might say that Luffy wouldn't Luffy wanted to go save Vivi. And Zoro was like, yo, chill out. You can't do that. You can't just go to marry Joa and like go save Vivi. Remember what you said about Ace, that Ace he chooses to do what he wants with his life.
Has his own adventures, yeah.
Yeah, he's going to have his own adventures. But only when it's undeniable danger, that's when you should choose to do something, right? And a lot of people like to use that too, like that panel, as a way to say, well, Luffy decided not to go after Vivi. And it's like, no, that's not what that panel said. That panel actually said that Luffy, from the jump, was willing to go after and save Vivi, but didn't because he remembered she's probably not in danger.
Exactly.
We don't know if she's in danger.
Yeah.
We know she can handle herself. And also, they went there as a reverie. It wasn't like she got kidnapped and was made to be somebody's wife, right? Like, that was against Ginny's choice. This is a Vivi's choice. Like, she went there willingly. So, yes, they don't know where she's at, that's also the case.
Yeah.
But they knew where Ginny was. They knew
Yeah.
Ginny was taken by force. And the thing is, again, if you keep saying it's Ivankov's fault, you keep saying it's Kuma's fault, at the end of the day, it's still Dragon's fault.
He's the leader, bro.
He's the leader
He's
of the
head.
Revs.
If he tells them to do something, they'll do it, period.
Exactly.
All three of them should have went.
All three
agree.
of them should have went. That's completely fine with me.
Yeah.
But again, that does not shift the blame. That only makes it more intense on Dragon's end because he's the leader of these two. He knows that this could break the morale of the revolutionaries. Why? Ginny was the most liked commander from what we saw. They adored her. And they adored the relationship she had for Kuma, like the perspective on Kuma. So not only do they lose that aspect of the revolutionaries, now your commanders are in shambles. So it's like, what's the best thing to do to boost morale? Go after your person. Why not? Just because you're afraid, like, son, like, bro, like, how many times have people gone there?
I'm gonna be honest. I understand him not going. I'm saying it's why I don't vibe with him as a character right now. I get it. Like I said, I'm being unfair, but understand me. You can't expect me to vibe with you as a character when this happened.
Exactly.
And you didn't do anything.
Exactly.
That's where I'm at, bro. It's just where I'm at.
But you know what it is, too? I think psychologically, it's more like Oda conditioned us with Luffy. Like, Oda conditioned us to think that as long as you have the Luffy aspect, you can accomplish anything. So if Luffy's out here just going after his friends, we went through a whole cake with Sanji. We went through Enies Lobby with Robin. We went through Water 7 with Usopp. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's always been a time, even when Luffy was, like, trying to recruit people, he always went the extra route to recruit them or to have them on his side. Like, even with Jinbei, yo, you better come back. He's always conditioned us to think Nakama are everything. So it's normal for his general fans and audience to think, damn, Dragon didn't go after Ginny. Like, that sucks. Like, I can't really vibe with that. Why? Because
That's not One Piece. That's not the story I read. But hey, if y'all still vibe with Dragon,
But that's also trying to
congrats
show.
to y'all.
Remember though, that's why Luffy's the different one.
exactly.
Luffy's.
yeah, but don't give me he's Luffy's dad then. Don't give me that. Don't give me that.
You can't be just.
You his
like
dad
it,
in blood only, bro. You ain't acting like him. He ain't get that from you.
Yeah,
So
I think overall though, I think people are so. This is what I be saying about the One Piece community sometimes, that they get so attached to a character that they just think that that character can have no fault. They literally think that if you say something that slightly makes that character not as great in their mind, it breaks the whole glass shop that they built. Like, the bull just starts running. Like, you can't say anything bad about Mihawk. You can't say anything bad about Blackbeard. You can't say anything bad about Dragon. You can't say anything bad about Emu. If you say something that's terrible about Garp, you're an idiot. But it's like, well, we're digesting the story. We're seeing people for what they are. And you're telling us just because we think that way that you think this is terrible of us to think. It's like, no, look at yourself. Like, reflect. Like, ask yourself, do you look at these people like celebrities? Do you look at them as gods, or do you look at them as like actual people? Are you more of the belief of believing in word and narrative, or do you believe in feats and narrative? Because there's different ways of believing in characters. This happened with Kid. You believed he was supposed to be something bigger than he was, and look he got one shot. And I'm not saying that to disregard
Those are
Kid,
the facts.
but it was the fact that he didn't show what he needed to show in order to further his prior career. You believed otherwise because you had this huge fanism about him. Get rid of that aspect of your personality. Like, get rid of that aspect of what you like about, like, just manga in general. Just see the person for what they are.
I mean, they don't have to.
They don't have to.
They just gonna butt heads with you and me at times.
Yo, but that's what makes them feel like what we say when it does come to light, because a lot of the stuff we do say comes to light. They're like, yo, you can't say that, bro. You can't say that, bro. I hate you, bro. Like, come on, bro. But I think Sebastian killed it with what he was saying, though.
Yeah.
I think he was like, I couldn't have said it better.
Hey, man. Oh, like you said it.
He's not a fraud.
He's conditioned us to respect elements of people's character. That willingness to do anything for your friends is one of those. It's the reason why I love One Piece.
Yeah, it is.
When people ask me what the best arcs of One Piece, I say Enies Lobby, Sabaody Archipelago, Marineford. Why? The friendship aspect, and Alabasta. That's my fourth, right? Why? The friendship and what people were willing to do for their friends in those arcs. What they had to go through because of what what their friends went through because of what they did in those arcs is why. That's One Piece. Dragon out here acting like a non-One Piece character.
It's the reason why people love Roger too.
Yeah.
That was the one thing about Roger.
That's why they pirates and he a revolutionary, bro. And then he gonna need a pirate to actually win his revolution for him. Because he ain't about to do it, Lawrence.
I can't have you disrespect
He ain't about to do it.
I feel
sure about that?
That's why Sabo is the
Sure
real
about
face
that?
right now,
That's
bro.
why?
Like the video if you haven't liked the video, and leave if you don't like our dragon takes.